Hello everybody, it's Julia here with video 5 of my series of Learn Tarot, and today we're going to be looking at card number 4, which is the Emperor. In numerology, the number 4 stands for structure and stability, and this is the number of the Emperor. Let me just get this going. I just don't seem to be able to talk and do things at the same time. So let me just get this smoking. Let's get a little bit of smoke going here to clear the energies. So I'll put that over there while that's still smoking. I'll just put it here. Sorry you're having to see my horrible plate there with all my candles and matches and smudge stick and everything on it, but there we go. So this will be the same format as my previous videos, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Emperor to start off with. So let's just find a card here of the Emperor. Here we go. So the Emperor, as I said, number 4 in the tarot deck, which is the number of structure and stability. He's primal male. He's represented by Aries and by the god Zeus. This archetype represents power and leadership, the pioneering spirit, the masculine principle of the builder. He's a doer and a visionary. He's a father and a patriarch. So this is very much a who's the boss card, and includes being in control of your own body, your own mind and your own temper, your environment, and your relationships actually. So this card gives the querent permission to be bold and to be brave. So if this card represents you, you need to question whether your empire has become a chore or whether you are happy on your throne. So in his higher realms, the Emperor is a good father. He's a maker of solid, stable lives. He has the ability to lead, to make decisions and to take action. He can be nurturing and able to listen. And he's a mature male figure of authority. But in his lower realms, the Emperor would be a tyrant and a bully, really, without the Empress to balance and to tame him. He can be immature, he can lack strength, he can be indecisive, have a weak character, fail to manage his emotions, become overly angry and aggressive, lack commitment, and work for only materialistic gains with no regard for responsibilities of the heart. So there we go. This is the Emperor. And I've got some cards here with my little cubes to represent the number 4, to represent the structure and the stability of the Emperor. So we've got lots of cards here. We have got my Visconti Sforza tarot cards, where again we have an Emperor here really that to me doesn't, well, he does. He's got a beard, he's sat on a throne, he's got all his fine gowns and bits and pieces on. So I guess he's quite a traditional Emperor here, but maybe a little bit older than I would expect, perhaps, to see an Emperor. I don't know. When I look at some of my other tarot cards here, you don't often see the Emperor as being quite so old with his white beard. So, yeah. I'm not quite sure what it says in the Visconti Sforza book. Let's have a little look what it says about the Emperor. So it says he's an aged male figure seated upon a throne. Yeah. He's heavily bearded with grey hair, and his robe matches the royal garment of the Empress. So yeah, there's doesn't really say a lot about him in that guidebook there. What else have we got here? We've got the lovely ginger Tom here, who is the Emperor in the Mystical Cats Tarot. He sat looking quietly confident. I would imagine that he's been out and protected all his borders and marked his territories, and he sat sort of quietly on his throne there. I think I remember reading in the book that comes with this that his authority as leader of his clans comes not from overpowering his foes, not from being aggressive or angry, but it comes from a kind of still, quiet inner confidence of authority. So that's what he's about here, this mystical cat. We also have Jon Snow in the Game of Thrones tarot, which again, as I said, he's not a Rider-Waite or a Visconti Sforza type emperor, is he? He's a very contemporary emperor here. He's not going to be seen sat on a throne. He's an illegitimate son. I think he fights for his people. He's a man of the people. And again, I think that his authority comes from a kind of quiet inner confidence, perhaps. Let's have a little look in the book, actually, about Jon Snow, and just see if there's anything extra that I can add here. So the Emperor is Jon Snow, King in the North and head of House Stark. He holds Longclaw, his sword of rare Valyrian steel, a symbol of authority and protection. As Valyrian steel keeps its sharpness, it signifies security through longevity of rule. So it says Jon Snow does not need symbols of power, nor does he expect devotion. He was believed to be born an illegitimate child and ignorant of his true heritage. He is of the people. I don't want them to kneel for me, he declares. I want them to fight with me. His courage earns him power and respect. The card's number 4 means stability and structure. In numerology, a 4 is likened to a square, as all its sides are equal. It has no points of weakness. So there we go, that's Jon Snow. We have the traditional Rider-Waite emperor here, who is sat on his throne. He's wearing armour, he's wearing his crown. There are symbols of ram's heads around him, which represent Aries, which is his astrology sign. And we have a similar thing going on with the Anarchy emperor, except he's a younger king. He has his sword and his sceptre and his shields, his crown, his armour. We have all the black and white squares around him, which I think symbolise the number 4. They're a very male energy. He has an eagle above his head, which I'm not quite sure what that represents. But it's going to be some kind of manifestation of male authority. Could be a phoenix. I think it's an eagle though. Who else have we got? We've got the Psychic Tarot here with a very different emperor here. A well-muscled, solid-looking, square-jawed, very masculine-looking emperor here, with the word authority below him. He looks a bit like a Roman emperor there, doesn't he? That's the kind of look that he's got going on there. We have the Tarot of the New Vision, which shows you a slightly different angle of the Emperor. So this is looking at the Emperor, which, I don't know, what am I talking about? We're looking at the back of the Emperor's throne here, aren't we? This is his throne with him sat upon it. And this is obviously the back of his throne, this one, with him looking out to all his devoted females there. And he has a tortoise behind him, which I'm not entirely sure what that represents either, but if I don't manage to figure it out, I will look it up. So yeah, there's the Emperor looking outwards. There's the back of the Emperor's throne with all his devoted females looking at him. Yeah. So we also have yet another different kind of emperor here with the Lightseer's Tarot, much more contemporary and modern take on the emperor. Somebody in modern clothing. He still has a ram head above his head to signify Aries. So yeah, very masculine colours. All very masculine colours here, actually. And then the last one that we've got here, which I'm going to read a little bit from the book about, is Myosho Zen Emperor. And he's called the Rebel in this card, which when I first looked at that, I wasn't entirely sure that that was correct energy really for the Emperor, because the Emperor represents authority. Which would make you feel that he perhaps does the right thing and is law-abiding, which you would think the rebel is not. We've got here, he's like the breaker of chains, isn't he? Is the feeling I'm getting there. It looks like he's got an eagle or a phoenix on one of his shoulders. He's holding fire, which represents Aries. Let's have a little look in the book about this emperor here, because I'm sure that Osho Zen will give us quite a different interpretation of him from the other emperors. So the powerful and authoritative figure in this card is clearly the master of his own destiny. On his shoulder is an emblem of the sun, and the torch he holds in his right hand symbolises the light of his own hard-won truth. Whether he is wealthy or poor, the rebel is really an emperor because he has broken the chains of society's repressive conditioning and opinions. He has formed himself by embracing all the colours of the rainbow, emerging from the dark and formless roots of his unconscious past and growing wings to fly into the sky. His very way of being is rebellious, not because he is fighting against anybody or anything, but because he has discarded that which no longer serves and discovered his own true nature and is determined to live in accordance with it. The eagle is his spirit animal, a messenger between the earth and the sky. The rebel challenges us to be courageous enough to take responsibility for who we are and to live out our truth. People are afraid, very much afraid, of those who know themselves. They have a certain power, a certain aura, and a certain magnetism, a charisma that can take out alive young people from the traditional imprisonment. The enlightened man cannot be enslaved. That is the difficulty, and he cannot be imprisoned. Every genius who has known something of the inner is bound to be a little difficult, to be absorbed. He is going to be an upsetting force. The masses don't want to be disturbed, even though they may be in misery. They are in misery, but they are accustomed to the misery, and anybody who is not miserable looks like a stranger. Wow, that's quite profound, isn't it, actually? The enlightened man is the greatest stranger in the world because he does not seem to belong to anybody. No organisation confines him, no community, no society, and no nation. Wow, that's really quite profound, isn't it? And you know, I actually get that vibe, I get that feeling from some of the other cards here, particularly the Jon Snow character here, because he's a breaker of chains also. He's not somebody that just accepted the status quo, is he? He was a person with a mind of his own, who was true to himself, who was true to his own beliefs, who followed his own heart. So yeah. So perhaps instead of authority, well, I don't know, I suppose it is kind of authority, isn't it? But yeah, he's an enlightened man, the Emperor. Yeah, he doesn't belong to anybody. That's very much Jon Snow energy, isn't it? So being a rebel is not a fighting energy. It's an energy of being different. It's an energy of standing true in your own light, standing true to your own beliefs, your own thoughts, your own needs. And when I look at the faces of the men in these cards, I can see it. They're all of them, really, to be honest, saying, you know, I am who I am. Like it or lump it, I think, actually. Is the feeling of the Emperor here. So yeah, so if you were to meditate upon the Emperor's energy, whether you are male or female, it could be a helpful thing to do. So if you were to meditate upon the energy of the Emperor, some questions that you might like to consider, to contemplate would be, what are you building in your life? Are you ambitious? And if so, about what? How does the Emperor manifest in you? Are you rigid, unreceptive, or bold? How do you manage authority and power in your life? Who has the power? Do you have structure and boundaries in your life? And if not, how can you establish it? And are you in control of your own life? There's some big questions, those, actually, and on some levels, we're living in quite difficult, trying times, aren't we? I think that there are many of us that don't feel quite in control of our lives at the moment, that feel that perhaps the authority figures of our lives do not have our best interests at heart a lot of the time. I'm talking about the COVID drama here, really, to be honest, amongst other things that are happening in the world. In Europe at the moment, they're being quite rigid and authoritarian and locking people down. I would imagine that that's coming to the UK again soon. I think when you retain some energy of the Emperor, I think that these are quite difficult energies to manage in your life. Myself as a female, I resonate quite strongly with some of the Emperor's energy here, in that I feel it's extremely important to be your own person and to follow your own truths, to have boundaries and to have structure in your life. So these are all good questions to meditate upon and to contemplate. So what are you building in your life? Are you ambitious? And if so, about what? How does the Emperor manifest in you? How do you manage authority and power in your life, and who has the power? Do you have structure and boundaries? And if not, how can you establish it? And are you in control of your life? So there we go. I hope that that was helpful. I'm really enjoying this series. It's really good for me actually to refresh myself and have a look at all my lovely cards. So I look forward to seeing you again next time, where we will be talking about the Hierophant. So thank you very much and take care, and I'll see you again.